Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen from across North America and, of course, Europe and wherever else you may be. I'm right here in Alpharetta, Georgia at hi-rez Studios, and I'm joined by my friends. It's Anatoly, and it's that guy, the young homie over there, repping Team Allegiance. And for right now, they've looked pretty damn good. We've got 3 days of competition. We're on day number 2, and we're going to get things started with Elevate versus Aware. Now, of course, this is the SCL Finals. Everything this weekend is all about getting to the Smite World Championship. And if you want to go, you don't have to come here and compete in the LAN yourself. All you got to do is stay at home and go to a website, SWC or www.hi-rezexpo.com. That can go ahead and get you into the Smite World Championship. And also there's a gem sale, apparently, from the 28th to the 31st.
We're going to be seeing a lot of these teams right now. I'm doing good. Thank you for asking, Tom. You know, a lot of people don't get to ask me how I'm doing, but young homie, how are you doing?
I didn't ask.
Your team is doing really well.
I think me and my team are feeling pretty out here right now.
You guys are always out there, it seems
always.
like that, especially with your snaps and all that stuff. So, yeah, right now we're going to have the first set of the day. It's going to be Elevate against Aware. Elevate struggled a little bit in the first day. Aware looked really strong, I would say, especially with their jungler, KhaoticPurpose.
Absolutely. You know, when you look at Elevate and Aware, these are two of the stronger teams, and they kind of run in the jungle. I think if you look at Elevate, a lot of the people are going to talk about KeegsMate and just sort of mention Keegs by himself, but he is helped out a little bit by Reminisst over there in the jungle. Reminisst is a really quiet guy. I was talking to him before with doing some of the interviews, and Reminisst over there in the jungle, he didn't really have much to say, didn't really want to say much. He's the type of guy that just sort of lets his gameplay do the talking.
Yeah, he must be pretty nervous. It's his first LAN. I'm pretty sure he's only like 14 years old as well, so that's pretty crazy. Everyone on the team is like younger than 18, I'm pretty sure, besides Rippin. He's like 24 years old, and a vet. Shout out to him.
Yeah, Rippin is a big part of what enables Elevate to sort of do what they do and stay consistent. What have you seen? What have you seen about Reminisst, Tully?
I haven't really seen too much presence out of him in his last set against a Leech, and specifically when he was playing the Ratatoskr, he wasn't really ganking the silence very often. When he was playing the Bastet in the second game, he was just letting his teammates get ganked left, right, and center. He didn't have any control in the counter gank department, so I really want to see him be able to change that for heading into day 2 if they want to be able to really qualify into Worlds.
Yeah, so Reminisst, right there, you saw him. He's helped out a little bit by his guardian, Rippin. But on the other side of Aware, their opponent today in our first match, this man doesn't really need help from Rippin or any other guardian. Formerly known as Layers of Death, he's switched his name for one reason or another. He's KhaoticPurpose, and he's here to, well, carry the hell out of Aware.
KhaoticPurpose, I call him Layer still. He's a mechanical monster too. He just listens to Kenshin and he hits every ability. It works well. When we want to do something, it always works because he doesn't miss.
Layers is the strongest jungler in NA by the looks of it, and kind of looks like an NA version of Rapier. So I think he'll go off this LAN, and I think he'll be the choice between like first and second. If he has a really good LAN, I think Aware might be able to finish first.
He does impress me. He plays, there's counterplay, you know what I mean? For me, what makes a good player is when there's counterplay. When you can read another player, you know? You can play Smite, you can play mechanically, but when you start to read other players, I feel like you're taking it to the next level. And he has a potential, you know, I feel like he's already top 3 jungler, but he has a potential to like, just within himself to exploit more.
Aside from his drama, you know, like, I can't really agree. Okay. All right, backstory on Layers. He got MVP in the SCL 2 weeks in a row from the jungle. Tweets out, I quit my team. I didn't sign up to carry. I signed up to jungle. And I just can't respect someone who would do that to his squad. Then his team starts losing, and they pick him back up. I was like, you got to have some self-respect. But, like, I don't know. From what I've seen at LAN, he's a chill dude. Maybe he's learned his lesson, but just a cocky kid, I guess.
That's their carry. When you know, we were talking about unrelinquished earlier. That's, you know, you have an impact player on your squad. We have Chaac on our team. They have Layers. Layers is that impact guy. If you're gonna ban someone out, I suggest that's the guy you're looking to ban out because he can, if he gets his certain gods, he gets his nemesis, he's gonna wreck your whole team.
And that story that Mifflin told is really the one that I'm always thinking about when I see this guy on screen. You know, he came in and he was real strong, but he said, look, I'm a little too strong for my team. But he comes on back because the team just realizes, that well, sometimes you kind of need that power player, and you can see right away he's getting banned out. No Nemesis for KhaoticPurpose, just a little bit too strong. Elevate will snatch away the strong jungle pick of Kuang.
I definitely think that that's a good idea for Elevate to take away the Kuang, but he's been so successful at KhaoticPurpose on all these junglers. It's really hard to pinpoint a specific god away from him. We saw him yesterday actually be able to do wonders with the Nemesis and the Ratatoskr.
Yeah, I think he's just strong. Like, his god pool runs so deep. It's actually pretty crazy. And, yeah, I'm really liking the picks in band here. Elevate with the snap pick on Kuang. Obviously a very strong pick. We picked it. Like, everyone forgot about it at this lane besides us and Sword. We bring it out and completely dominated both of our sets. But yeah, they're gonna snap pick that along with Athena and Agni, aware at Bacchus, and both team comps are looking pretty strong so far.
I like the Agni here for Elevate. So Agni is one of these characters that he's not quite one size fits all anymore. I think some of the, as more mages have come out, the burst potential has gone way up.
Yeah.
So when you select the Agni, you've got to have a lot of burst extra damage somewhere else. Well, that's exactly what the Kuang is going to bring. So I love the long range setup out of Agni and the Athena. Elevate, you're going to have to follow up with some characters that can really do a lot of work off of this setup.
And Aware already having a really good 3-on-3 if they decided to put this Erlang Shen into the jungle, just to be able to find a knockup, find the root cripple. This gives enough time for Ra to get off a lot of guaranteed damage and look for those heavy, easy picks between the Bacchus Intoxicate and the Ra Searing Pain.
So here with Aware, they've taken out 2 more bans. Tier, and no Neath. Elevate, they've got all the setup in the world. I don't know why Aware would think that they want some Neath. I really want to see, because Keegs is not the player that you give Neath to.
Well, it
right?
makes sense, though, because normally when we see out Kuang, Neath, World Weaver, if you're trying to gank a soul lane, that works really well, too.
Also, Keegs, I'm pretty sure every single game besides maybe 2 was either Neath or Freya.
Right,
Neath or Freya.
And it kind of bothers me because when I see a hard carry on a team, which Keegs is absolutely the hard carry for Elevate, don't play the Neath. Play something that can give you a little bit more power, you know? So
we actually saw him on the Jingwei yesterday against Transonics, almost being able to solo him, but luckily Cloud was there to save the day with that
Cloud
hot
came in clutch
ulti.
with that ult.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about the Agni pick, though. I feel like there's, a bunch of mages that could have been picked, especially with, Athena and Kuang. They could have went, Jingwei mid, since it's banned, they can't, but they could have went, Rajin or something else. But also, Jumpahhh is new to mid, and I don't think he has any more than, 2.5 weeks of practice in the mid role. So maybe his lack of god pool is making his team suffer a little bit.
So the Agni selection here, it's going to go with Chaac and Anhur. And once you see the comp fleshed out, I think it makes a little bit more sense. Chaac and Anhur. Anhur has some specific sort of setup crowd control, not really just straight up, I can CC anybody I want. And Chaac, well, he's going to slow you down, right? He doesn't have any hard CC.
I'm actually really loving the Chaac pick here because Mr. McWafflez, he hasn't really showed up this LAN. But he's definitely a really good player. For instance, me and Cloud back in Season 2 years, a year ago, we saw Mr. McWafflez in Ranked, and he was he didn't know how to build at all, but we saw he was really good. And I remember we used to trio queue with him all the time, so it's crazy to see him here. But the Chaac pick is definitely pretty good because Chaac is the god you want to carry your carries to the mid and late game because he's super good early, especially with the buff on his ult and all that. So I expect to see Chaac play a really big role in this game right here.
Yeah, I think you're going to see Chaac and Anhur do a lot of the early game flex, and Agni's going to come in the mid game and then control things to allow Kuang to just sort of do his thing. Elevate's got power in the jungle, and Aware's got power all over the place. Totally, how you feeling about this draft?
I like the Ratatoskr on KhaoticPurpose. I got to give it to Aware.
And how about you, homie? Where are you feeling?
I think I'm going to have to side with Aware here. Both teams have good comps, but I'm just really not feeling the Agni.
All right, so we've got Aware pretty much on both sides. We're going to toss it over to the casters. It's Kevin holding it down with Tiger.
Thanks, Tom. We're getting ready for Aware versus Elevate here, and I ran out of phone books, so there's not really going to be any fix for the hype.
They actually did get her a phone book, but I told them not to use it because she'd break it.
And even then, it wouldn't have helped. It only bumped me up to right here.
Aware versus Elevate, though, heading into this match, Aware looking really strong yesterday against Cyclone. We saw them really perform incredibly strong. And they're already getting ready for it. The calls are made here, aware of where Chaac's at as they just try and place some wards down.
And like the devs mentioned, Chaac is going to play a huge role, so they want to go ahead and try to knock him down early on. I mean, just make sure you focus him as much as you can. McWafflez is going to be a huge part.
And Waffles really has to be. The main weakness we really saw from Elevate yesterday was kind of their lack of initiation and the fact that they didn't really do anything. They kind of just responded to what Allegiance was doing. They let them control the pace of the match. They let them dictate everything. This time a little bit different for Elevate, though. They do have the Kuang, probably looking to extend this game out a little bit more, but I need to see them actively do things. There was too much just passiveness, kind of letting ALG run all over them. And if they're going to qualify for SWC, they need these wins against Aware.
It comes down to the point where they weren't making the plays, they were reacting to everything. And now Aware definitely want to make the plays as we see them come around this corner. Want to go ahead and try to get an invade on the buff, but it's just going to push Elevate further out.
I really like this. KhaoticPurpose here does not have a Wrath, but the Erlang Shen does. But he's going to be doing the solo. Oh, this is an issue Aware. I loved the invade, especially onto the Kuang, but they took too long to kind of figure out what they wanted to do. Reminisct is just going to go share these waves with mid, and this is going to give them good control over these mid Harpies as well.
They really just lost that opportunity to get anything done. They just sat there. They had the play. I guess they were surprised that it even worked out. So both of those buffs still stand. They're going to lose a little bit of farm.
The main issue here for Aware is that they went for the invade, which was the proper call, but they didn't respond to Aware just backing off, or excuse me, Elevate just backing off and kind of repositioning themselves.
Aware are going to make something out of it, though, taking the mana camp at least. Going to rotate back over, take the speed camp, though. This should have happened about a minute ago.
I'm actually surprised to not see Elevate go to defend their buffs here. They're going to be really late. This is going to be a pretty free invade, and they're just going to back Harpies even. This is a very passive start from Elevate once again. Although they are on this Kuang, they're trying to focus more on the farm and being safe.
Is it okay playing safe with this team comp? Like, what do they want to get out of their full roster?
Out of their full roster, they really just want to open up spaces for the Agni to get a lot of poke damage off and allow the Kuang to get into the back line and find execute. That's one of the strongest things about this comp that Elevate has drafted is this Agni and even the Chaac. You know, two gods that have very wide AoE abilities that you can throw at a long range. You're really looking to poke people down, and then when you force that initiation, the Kuang has an easier time getting people into the execute threshold.
With buffs and side camps, Aware taking a slight lead, just a little bit. Elevate trailing about 500 gold behind. And at this point, it's actually kind of nice to see Aware pushing back Elevate in all lanes. They're still trying to find that control, and Elevate are still in that reactive state.
And they drafted, you know, pretty strong push in every single lane. Erlang Shen incredibly dominant in most matchups. Waffles on this Chaac here is going to have a little bit of trouble in the early game. Chaac is pretty easy though once you get rolling, once that axe is one shot in the waves, but it's going to take a little bit for that. And then Agni obviously suffers in the early game as well, having to rely on his dash to clear. It gives Rom and Ratatoskr a lot of room to kind of go for those invades like we saw earlier.
So my question is, why a Shock when you could have drafted a Guan Yu and try to fight sustain with sustain? Reminisct taking a good bit of damage, but going to be able to teleport out before any of that hits him.
And you can see immediately that sustain coming into effect as well. DoctorL getting pretty low here, tanking archers, didn't respect it, does have the heal though, he's going to be fine. And KhaoticPurpose was looking for the gank, but Chaac was pretty aware of it there.
Pretty aware of it.
It wasn't even intentional, I promise.
That's impressive, though.
Aggro's going to go give me a fist bump after this, though, for that one.
Definitely. Other than that, nothing really too crazy. I like the fact that Aware are putting priority in these side camps. Even the enemy buff camps, just because even though it's a little bit of gold with those fire imps, you're still going to get that little lead, just inching forward, especially since Elevate aren't giving them much to work with.
I mean, right now in a slow-paced game, especially mid-harpies and fire elemental control are one of the most important things. You're not going to get a 3-4K lead off of getting them once or twice, but if you could control those mid-harpies, especially if you're able to get those timers without the other team being aware, you can, and again, non-intentional, Tiger, you can slowly gain a lead, and that's what we see a lot of times from top teams that don't really want to fight into a composition. They'll just focus on farming up, and you'll see them just efficiently get 2, 3, 4,000 ahead by that 10 to 12 minute mark when the Gold Fury starts to become a factor.
There's a lot that's riding on this game for both teams. Elevate want to find the 2-0, get themselves 3 points, and get themselves on the board versus Aware, who would be in a fantastic position to go ahead and continue on with those 6 points with a 2-0. But Aware Gaming have their eyes on the prize, and that's going to be a mana camp and a speed camp.
And continuing, and this is the worst part, is that I don't think Elevate even has the timers on their own camps right now, and this Wrath is going to make it completely free for KhaoticPurpose every time. They probably have a general idea of where the timers are now as they walk out of their spawn, but you can see that lack of knowledge there really allowing Aware to steal those buffs away uncontested.
And we were just talking about it earlier on before this game started. Aware started in the Challengers Cup.
Yes.
They came up from Challengers and are now fighting here, looking very good against Elevate, but we're going to have the ultimate coming out from McWafflez. A nice two-man taunt. The dash going to be good. KhaoticPurpose hopping into the Cosmos. Going to crash back down, not find DoctorL. Jumpahhh going to find it instead.
And he is going to get out there just barely. You can see the rotation. First blood going over to Elevate, and I love that. They recognized that Aware had stolen their buffs. They actually went on the offensive, looking to countersteal. The blue was gone, the speed was gone, but it just so happened that Aware had ended up in lane. They ended up focusing on that Erlang Shen, putting him behind. And this is, this is something I really like to see, especially considering that the Chaac was suffering, getting pushed back a lot, obviously had his blue and speed stolen, and this is going to even up that lane.
Definitely, and it's going to help him out in the long run as well. The last thing they want to do is let McWafflez step up. Like everybody mentioned, you and the desk, it's all hedge pin on McWafflez with this shot. But 5 minutes and 25 seconds in, 1-0. Even with first blood, Aware Gaming still have a hefty goal lead.
And again, I was talking about it. This has been a slow-paced game. No team really trying to force anything in the early. This is just simply out-farming, right? We saw the 2 rotations of stolen buffs. We've seen Elevate as well, Aware as well, control those mid-harpies and fire elementals with their kind of advantage in the soul lane. And, I talked about how this was going to help Chaac. I mean, even despite DoctorL getting first blooded, he still has a 500 gold. Oh no, that just got evened up. It was 500 gold earlier though. I promise.
So break down this solo lane matchup for me. Chaac and Erlang Shen. Erlang, he can go anywhere. Chaac, we don't really see him all that often, so why is Erlang having such a hard time?
I mean, he's not. I mean, the Erlang was really pressuring out the Chaac in the early game, as he's supposed to do, him and Robin. And Osiris, kind of the premier
we almost
three for
saw
lane
that solo
control.
kill earlier.
Yeah, but I feel like I don't think DoctorL was ever worried, right? He popped the ultimate, he knew the timer on the Chaac cooldowns, knew he wasn't going to die, and then got the big heal in the end.
Well, either way, McWafflez still going to come out on the top with his own sustain, going to back off, not have that solo fight. Meanwhile, we're going to start to transfer into that 3v3 mid fight soon. And who do you think has that matchup?
I think right now Aware is very confident. They have the Raw for the sustain, the Ratatoskr as well, and the Bacchus. They have a lot of just combo potential to just 100-0 initiate on someone like that.
Rippin is going to take 2 ultimates to the face, and KhaoticPurpose going to be able to take him off the map.
And that's exactly what happened there. We saw Elevate go aggressive, try for the poke damage, but it was at the edge of the tower. They don't really have that 100-0 combo potential. They can, but they need to time it perfectly and bait out relics beforehand. For Aware, it's a lot easier to just find that stun and then hit the raw snipe.
Cameron forced into the disapparate, but he's going to have to come out soon. But Keegs does not want to face the rest of the team of Aware in that mid lane. Instead, the rest of Aware taking the blue camp, looking for the speed camp as well, forcing out McWafflez. Ultimate, the silence going to be good. The 2-man taunt as well. DoctorL getting so low, he's within execute. It's just up to Reminisst to get close enough before that heal comes through, and Reminisst going to be able to find him.
Big pickup there for Elevate. Finally, they can test their buffs. Once again, I mean, Aware, they said, hey, we stole your buffs earlier pretty easily. There was an initiation on the left-hand side as well. We saw a lot of Elevate grouped at those mid-harpies. They felt like it was an opportune time, but the main issue is that the Chaac just comes over, pops his ultimate. That's going to silence them for 3 seconds, and just that delay, them not being able to use their escapes because of the silence, allowed Elevate to rotate over from those left harpies and come into the fight.
And then when you pair that with the taunt, especially coming out from Rippin, who is absolutely on point, that CC change is just too much for them to bear. Keegs taking a good bit of damage from the Stellar Burst over in duo lane as well.
And yeah, I mean, again, going back to that fight, this is what this comp is about. It's really about finding the Athena taunts into the Agni bombs. You have the Chaac in the front line as well, throwing out those ranged poke axes, silencing people, making sure they're not going to be able to get out of that taunt without burning those purifications, and just allowing the execute threshold to get there. I mean, no ult was even needed for the Kuang off of that kill.
I still feel like Elevate need to get a good grip on their own buffs before we're going to see anything really come out of them. They're getting these couple of picks, these 1-for-0 trades, but still Aware are finding that gold lead and experience lead over them because they keep finding the enemy jungle.
And this is fine for Aware. They're fine with a slower paced game where they're just inching ahead and ahead and ahead and ahead. Heading into late game, obviously we talked about how this Kuang is going to be a dangerous factor, but Aware as well. I mean, the later this game goes, this Soul's going to come online. The Erlang Shen going to be really hard to kill once he tanks up, and so they need to find their opportunity when they should look for an initiation. I'd really like to see Elevate play through this Kuang a little bit more. Again, these are the problems we saw yesterday with them, where they were scared to kind of make a move. They could make one here, but just going to counter ward as a team.
Nope, not going to make a move because you see 3 members coming down from Aware Gaming as well. Going to have a nice 3-man taunt into the shield wall, but no follow-up from the rest of Elevate. We're going to have a couple of Agni bombs, but aside from that, Kenshin going to be able to find Rippin holes and turn that completely around.
Not in the execute threshold as well. Kenshin going to manage to stay alive. You see the pings, KhaoticPurpose just on point, and a great stun from KeegsMate. Big play coming out from him, destroying KhaoticPurpose.
Absolutely on point. Beautiful. Keegs coming in, saving the teammate, and then just completely ripping through. Absolutely fantastic.
No, that's Rippin holes. Anyways. Right-hand side, though, we do have an initiation, and DoctorL, I believe his ultimate's down. He's going to take all that Athena damage, the taunt as well, getting picked up a little bit over-aggressive there, trying to proxy farm.
Just taking a lot of unnecessary damage. He's getting a little too big for his britches, trying to stay in that jungle a little too long.
And this is one problem that KhaoticPurpose has. He is a phenomenal player. We know that. But he also knows he's a phenomenal player, and so he's making very risky plays as well. You know, that left-hand side going for that Kuang, who's completely invisible. He's entirely just guessing at that point, and he jumps into 2. We saw it again, you know, he's looking for these invades, which they worked out earlier, but he's not recognizing that Elevate are now starting to stop that, starting to, you know, counter-initiate on him. And so he needs to be a little bit more careful with his decision-making.
And there was nobody to help bail him out of that situation either. And I know everybody complains about sustain. At what point do Elevate need to buy the anti-heal?
I mean, we already have it on here. The Agni's picked up the Divine Rune. Agni is one of the best gods in the game for Divine Rune because you have so much ranged poke over, you know, obviously multiple ultimates. It's very easy to hit all these targets, make sure that anti-healing is going, and also making sure you continuously stack it up. This isn't enough for them, but I mean, this is all they need at this point in the game.
It's a good start, but we're going to want to see more later on. Otherwise, we're going to see every single problem that we've seen in other professional matches where the heal just gets out of hand.
And the issue here isn't even the raw. It's the fact that almost every god on Aware has self-sustain outside of the Bacchus. Soul's got her 1, Ratatoskr, all his abilities are going to be healing him, and then Erlang Shen has a huge one on his ultimate. And so you're going to have to play around that.
Pushing 11 minutes and 43 seconds, 4-2. Elevate 2 kills up, but we're still seeing the golden experience in favor of Aware from that early farm game.
No one really looking at the Gold Fury just yet, and Aware, I mean, they've been the primary initiators, but you could see how hard it is to play into this composition. Elevate have done a much better job. Going back to that Gold Fury fight, the Athena, you know, dashes forward, gets a 3-man taunt. That is a huge win for Elevate, and they could probably go for Gold Fury after that fight if the Agni is in a better position. He actually wasn't in a spot to get all his bombs off on all the targets after the taunt, and so Aware now recognize how much damage potential, how much damage output this Agni and Athena combo is doing.
Both teams want this Gold Fury. Aware going to go ahead and start it up, but then Leisha get a little bit of damage onto it just to get Aware out of, or get Elevate out of hiding, but instead Aware going to rotate back into the mid. McWafflez the only one there currently.
And Elevate don't want to give this up for free. Aware, I think they're tired of, you know, looking for invades, clearly not working anymore. So they're starting to put the pressure, and Keegs actually going for this 1v1. Disapparate's going to end, but KhaoticPurpose is in the sky.
Gonna come on down. Desert Fury gonna only find a couple of spears, and now he's forced to use a purification just to try and get out. But as he's running away, you have the Supernova and you have Boronic coming through, finding the kill. DoctorL gonna take out Jumpahhh, but a gigantic silence gonna find 2.
2 big overextensions coming out from Elevate right there. Keegs trying to do the 1v1, not cognizant of the rotations from Aware. He gets picked off, overextended after having jumped to initiate that fight. And then right there, we actually saw, I believe it was the Agni, just kind of dash aggressively into the middle of 4.
And those are the picks they wanted, but we're going to have a little bit of dashing aggressively from Waffles, who's going to get immediately erased by DoctorL. KhaoticPurpose taking out Rippin holes. Reminisst just forced to go ahead and run away. And Aware Gaming going to find the first Gold Fury of the game.
Perfect play from Aware there. They get their 2 picks. They start up the Gold Fury. They wait as they see Elevate coming in to contest. They actually just drop the Gold Fury. The second the Athena lands, Kenshin comes in with the belly flop. And by then, it's just 2v5, right? There's just so much splash damage. Aware didn't burn all their abilities on the Gold Fury. They saved them for the players. Pick up 2 more, get the Gold Fury as well. Not Aware have a pretty good grasp on this game.
And you add in the CC for days, and it's just fighting an uphill battle. But Aware Gaming pulling forward with the kills, now sitting at 6, 14 minutes and 6 6 seconds into the game, and a little bit more of that goal lead that they've pulled back for themselves, now pushing about 4,000.
Again, Elevate are simply reacting to what Aware is doing, which can be fine in some cases when you have these planned counter initiations, but that's not what it seems like. It seems like they have no idea kind of how the flow of this game is going, and then once Aware make a play, they're over there, but they're there late. That's the main issue. It's not like Elevate are prepared for Aware to go for those invades on the speed, to gank the left-hand side. They just rotate as it happens, and they're not able to get in a position to have a strong counter initiation. We haven't seen Elevate have the right numbers to even take on a full fight yet.
KeegsMate avoiding a good bit of damage, but this is the same problem that we saw yesterday with Elevate in their match against Allegiance, and now it's just going to continue to not work in their favor unless they can step up and find that aggression. Aware have been making the plays and have been dictating what Elevate do, and sometimes that hasn't necessarily worked in Elevate's favor.
And this is a great position for Aware to be in, you know, a team who's not really trying to make any plays. The only way they lose this game, unless Elevate starts switching up their play style, is if they throw. And if they find this win, this puts them on 6 points.
Cameron just waiting, biding out time for KeegsMate. As soon as the gank comes in from KhaoticPurpose, KeegsMate still alive, and Rippin channeling the ultimate. The snipe only going to rip through a little bit of the Athena's HP, but Waffle's going to find the silence on the Boronic, so no heals for a couple of seconds.
That kind of a wasted ult there. I don't think Elevate were in a position to counter-initiate, and now DoctorL has come through, finds the taunt onto Waffle, who's pinned in place and doesn't have his ult anymore.
He's just going to get pinched between 5 members of Aware Gaming, and Boronic going to get credit for the kill. Now DoctorL doesn't have that taunt, and instead not really going to be able to lock down Jumpahhh.
Just absolutely beautiful spacing coming out for Aware. Once again, KeegsMate pushed up by himself, not super deep, but deep enough that they're able to rotate over that Bacchus, rotate over that Ratatoskr. They gank him. It doesn't go successfully, but they just back off.
4-man taunt coming through from Rippin into the Agni bombs, gigantic bits of damage, but DoctorL in the backline going to get jumped on. Reminisst going to knock him up into the air, but not within that execute threshold. DoctorL's going to make it out alive.
Somehow, just barely, the tower doesn't end up targeting him, instead focusing on the minions. He made sure not to hit any opponent gods there recently, but this is where Elevate comps shine, right? Those big Athena taunts into the Agni bombs, and Keegs going aggressive, half-life, and this has just allowed KhaoticPurpose to come down, but a great impale, and he's going to find it.
We saw the same thing earlier, and Camera going to go ahead and wipe him up, but that was absolutely beautiful. KeegsMate with those impales.
Keegs is on fire today. Just absolutely insane. He's 2-2-0 right now. His deaths have both been a product of his own aggression, but just the plays he's been making, especially against KhaoticPurpose. You know, anytime that ult comes through, he's channeling Desert's Fury, making sure he's not going to get knocked up, and then immediately finding these impales into the walls. Just in the split second after Ratatoskr lands, spaces himself away from the Soul and the Ratatoskr so they can't hit their in-hands to finish him off first, and just comes up with these big plays.
And it's still a 1-for-1 trade, so at this point, Elevate, they were looking to make the play, but Aware Gaming still keeping it steady ground, which is not good for Elevate currently, just because of the lead that Aware have amassed thus far.
And it feels like the only kills that Elevate have really gotten has been KeegsMate outplaying KhaoticPurpose twice, and then kind of some cleanup kills in fights that they had already lost where they've traded out 1 for 2 maybe.
Not going to see too much currently. Reminisst just rotating around, going to stick in mid lane for now. Waffle's going to get pinned, but aside from that, 17 minutes, almost 18 minutes, 5-8. Not really a gigantic action-packed filled game thus far.
It hasn't been. I mean, it's mostly been awkward initiations.
Oh, Jumpahhh forced to use the purification, and then the belly fought. Boronic going to find one, and then KhaoticPurpose going to find one as well. The team as a whole takes on the tier 1 tower, but they're not stopping.
Boronic's Raw is so good. He's hitting all these ultimates, obviously playing off of the Bacchus and the Ratatoskr, but he's doing it so well, making sure not to get in a bad spot. And this healing right now, at this point, the Divine Ruin, it's going to be helpful, but the issue is not the healing. It's the fact that Elevate are never in a position to actually find kills. We've seen these taunts, these 4-man taunts into the Agni bombs. We've seen, you know, Reminiscent get to the back line, but the issue is that it's only one person there. They're never in position as a whole team.
Reminiscent, the only one here, going to get channeled by Rippin. Hole's going to come around the corner. Gold Fury's at about half. They want to go in with 4 members here. They're going to throw in that throw in the axe, not teleport to it though. Bellypop only gonna find one of the backline, but Ra gonna have a nice beam right down the middle. Reminisct gonna die, or gonna find KhaoticPurpose instead, and then back off. Waffles, however, facing against 4, might get pinched if he's not careful.
They need to be careful. This Raw heal gonna come in big soon, and mostly Aware is full health here. They're gonna funnel themselves in. Soul barely escaped, but Boronic has already taken out one. The snipe finds a couple more, but Keegs going aggressive.
DoctorL, he's the target. He's going to be able to find the impale, but he's not able to find the in-hit. He's still chasing. He's going to be able to find the jump here in a second, and with Reminisct helping out, he gets away.
Oh, so unfortunate there. KeegsMate didn't even expect the impale. He thought that was going to be the damage on the impale, but this has opened up the opportunity for Gold Fury. All of Aware forced back, and they don't get the kill, but it's okay in the end. They do get the Gold Fury, shortening up this lead.
I mean, I'm waiting because we've seen some crazy plays, but no, Elevate do take the Gold Fury. It's now 1-1 for the Gold Fury tallies, and it helps a little bit. 7,000 experience in favor of Aware still, but about 4,000 gold.
And the experience is the big thing here. Gold, I mean, 4K at 20 minutes, it's decent. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely a lead, but it's not end-all, be-all. But that experience is devastating. You're seeing this Athena be only level 12, which is really rough against a Ra who's level 17, a Soul who's level 17, and she doesn't have magical protection online just yet. She's got tier 2 right now of Pestilence, but you're seeing her kind of get shredded when she goes for these aggressive taunts. Gonna need to be pretty careful here, and even the other carries as well, just a couple levels behind. Agni 3 levels behind right now.
Rippin holes. He's the one coming in with the Athena, finding these taunts and finding these big fights. And now, because he's level 12, because he's so far behind 0, 5, and 4, we're not going to be able to see Elevate bite back.
It's going to be, I mean, it's hard. Again, Elevate haven't done anything. They've simply responded to what Aware are doing, which can work out, but you get in this position where, you know, you're able to go toe-to-toe in some fights, but not every fight. You know, you're not trying to find advantages anywhere. This is the first time we've seen them really do anything, which is just a simple tower take on the right-hand side because everyone on Aware was on the left.
It can work out, but it's just not working out in this game, and it's the same problem like we mentioned from yesterday, and Elevate need to find it, but they are going to find their own buffs at this point. Speed Camp going to go ahead and fall for the boys in blue, rotate back over to their blue as well. Every little bit counts.
Every little bit counts. It adds up. Like I said, mid-harpy super important, fire elementals super important. Not as important now. It's kind of busted into team fight phase, and this is okay for Elevate. They're out Kuang only level 15, but he has a good core of his items online. He's got the penetration boots, the Polynomicon, the Obsidian Shard. He's doing a lot of damage, and so Reminisct's positioning in these fights is probably going to be the most crucial. He needs to really loop around the back. We're seeing him actually kind of hang around the Athena before she dashes in. Instead, I'd like to see him kind of play it like a traditional assassin where he's around the corner, you know, waiting for his opportunity to go in. He really needs to look for this Raw in these fights or the Soul. Those are the two impact players that he's going to be able to shred through.
We're not seeing enough vision as well, which is why McWafflez going to have a harder time compared fighting with DoctorL and the Bacchus. Waffle's going to head back into tower, but there's 3 members of the enemy team in his lane. They're going to disperse, but at this point, Chaac can't do anything. No,
and Elevate are going to have to do one of two things. Put pressure elsewhere or respond to this aggression from Aware. You can see 2 members pushing up mid. They might just be going for a base race, but they are starting to rotate now. Athena does have her ult, and Rippin is going to be coming through to this one.
Yeah, McWafflez going to be on the receiving end of that ultimate, but at this point, no real damage shared because you're still staying too passive in the tower.
Keegs.
Meanwhile, Keegs trying to take down this tier 1, boxing with Cameron at the same time.
I haven't seen Keegs do anything else other than try and 1v1 Cameron all day. This time, though, there's a lot of people on the right, so he doesn't have to worry about KhaoticPurpose.
Yeah, but that Disapparate's going to be used and then taken down. Supernova as well. He was waiting for it, bringing out the Desert Fury, but he's not able to find all the hits. Instead, gonna get soloed by Cameron.
I mean, he walked into the wave. I don't really know what Keegs' thought process was on that. If he had ulted the wave, he actually might have been able to win that fight. Instead, he tried to ult the Soul, and even if he does find the kill or doesn't get killed by Cameron, the rotation from DoctorL was there anyway.
At what point do we need to see these ADCs kind of start getting into the big team fights?
Now.
Now?
Well, actually like 10 minutes ago. But
yeah, I agree. I agree.
Keegs isn't about that. Keegs is just trying to 1v1. He's even picked up a Fatalis, which is a very, you know, kind of outplay item where you're going to have that bonus movement speed. You're not going to be doing as high a damage, you know, if you instead win a crit item or chin size, but this is just kind of KeegsMate. He's just trying to outplay you.
Is he building a Blood Shuriken of Doom?
Probably.
Awesome. Or a Wind Demon. something like that. Either way, 6-12 read the kills, pushing 24 minutes, and instead we're seeing the same thing we saw 20 minutes ago. Aware, making the plays, being aggressive. If you're Aware, who's the biggest target on Elevate that you want to go ahead and start taking out to try and close out this game?
All you really need to worry about is the Kuang. I mean, no one else on Elevate really has a lot of damage potential. Obviously the Raw, but he's fallen so far behind now that it's going to be hard for him to 100-0 anyone with his bomb combo.
Fire Giant gonna get started up, but Rippin and Jumpahhh are here. A nice timed Agni Bomb could take this. Instead, he's gonna go ahead and back off because the aggression has been turned up by Aware. DoctorL taking a lot of damage though, trying to get out, but he's gonna get caught by Reminisst. A nice tasty snack is the turtle.
Huge for Elevate. He's gonna come down in the middle as well. Keegs has made the rotation. The bomb's over the top, and Aware are on full retreat right now, but Jumpahh's found one, and there's the dash from KhaoticPurpose.
They want to find more. A nice taunt as well. KhaoticPurpose, he's one hit away, and Rippin wants to find it. Nope, not gonna be able to. Kenshin running away as well, but Elevate gonna take this opportunity to get rid of this tower.
Aware just spending too much attention there on the Gold Fury, or excuse me, Fire Giant. Then at the end there, they dumped their entire kit into a Chaac, who was ulting at the time. I mean, he's full protection as well. It's not even like he has a damage item, I mean, outside of boots instead of tank boots. And they just used absolutely everything on Chaac, and they weren't able to find the kill.
Elevate gonna turn around and start up the Fire Giant themselves, but that's pretty risky considering Aware Gaming is still here. Boronic gonna find the ultimate, but not find the Fire Giant. It's still gonna go to Elevate.
They secure it here, but Keegs in a bad spot. Not really sure why he was over there, but he gets picked up there. Pretty rough for Elevate. I think they really did need to have Keegs with that Fire Giant in hand. I mean, he's been the one making most of the plays there. The Kuang as well, Reminiscent does have it, and we talked about him. We saw his damage output. I actually would like to see the damage totals in the game. And yeah, I mean, Kuang's up there, which is, you know, something you don't always see. A lot of times, again, he's really just looking for those players to pick off. He's not really putting out a lot of poke damage, especially against this lineup that Aware has drafted a lot of AoE damage that he needs to be careful on his timing with.
Gold Fury is down, not going to be able to take anything from there. Instead, start stripping out the jungle. Like we mentioned earlier, every little bit counts. We're getting to that late game point where soon, gold and experience isn't going to matter because everybody's going to be pushing level 20. The only one that's lagging very far behind is Rippin, but we've already touched on that.
That's not an issue either. I mean, he's got a main physical protection item. He's got a main magical protection item. Working on a wing blade as well, which is going to give him a lot of mobility. Also very good against the slows coming out of Aware. There's a whole plethora of them in that lineup. And so he's still going to be fine. And honestly, if Aware are going to dump their entire kits onto an Athena, that's a win for Elevate.
Exactly. At that point, you're gonna miss on a lot of damage opportunities. But Elevate, what do they need to do? They got the Fire Giant. KeegsMate doesn't have it, but everybody else does. Where do you want to see the aggression go?
Honestly, what they're doing right now, start knocking down these towers. This isn't a Fire Giant that you secured and you're down 10K and you're just trying to hold out and wait for the next FG and close that gap. It's only a 2K difference right now, you know, after that tower. And so you are in the power position. You have the Fire Giant region. You have the power it brings. And so now you need to actually be looking for your advantages. And honestly, if Elevate just kind of play how they have been for the first 25 minutes, now they're going to be on the losing end of this. And I really like them kind of just focusing on knocking down these towers. They've got 2 tier 2s left, and they should really focus on sieging. They have such great siege potential with this Agni, with this Chaac. They don't even need to force a fight.
Definitely. Tier 1 tower going to fall in the mid lane, but Aware Gaming have grouped up to try and defend the Tier 2. McWafflez going to clear out the camp, but at this point, Elevate are knocking at the door, and Aware don't want to open it.
Rippin cannot be standing where he is right now. He needs to be on that front line. He needs to be looking for these taunts, bait out these relics. If he gets jumped on, that's fine-ish. I mean, he doesn't have a meditation or a shell. He's got the curse and the sprint, which aren't super useful in the middle of a fight, more at either the beginning or the tail end, but you really want to siege this tier 2.
He's walking CC that they need, and they're going to use it to take out DoctorL. Jumpahhh getting credit for the kill, but now we're going to have him crash back down. KeegsMate just in the backline trying to dish out the damage on KhaoticPurpose, who had used the ultimate to try and find the backline.
Exactly what you need to do there. You find a taunt onto a target who's sitting too close. You blow him up. He died. KhaoticPurpose tried to respond, but the issue is the rest of his team was playing defensive, and they're awarded with this tier 2. They're going to get this tier 2 on the left as well, and they're still in a okay position to siege a Phoenix if they do this quickly enough. Still 27 seconds on DoctorL.
Yeah, but we're going to see everybody else in Aware Gaming back off.
You don't need
the wave. Just
go. You don't need a wave.
Playing it safe. They don't want to choke right here. It's 28 minutes, almost 29, 9-13. Elevate have been playing from a very far behind position, now finding themselves with even experience and a little bit of a gold lead.
Strong taunt there, blinking as well from Reminisst, but he can't find the spot. Bacchus jump off the mark as well. Waffles just taking up this Phoenix for now. No one really forcing this fight, but DoctorL has responded and Waffles getting low.
Waffles going to use that ultimate because he's getting low, getting a little fearful, and Elevate going to go ahead and back off. They don't have enough gumption. They don't have enough oomph to take down this Phoenix quite yet. Aware putting on a very good defense.
The two-man knock-up here. KhaoticPurpose very deep, blown up, does manage to stay alive for now, and here comes DoctorL from the side.
Supernova coming through. Camera going to be able to take out Waffles. Meanwhile, Boronic uses the ultimate, but not able to take a kill. The pin going to take out KeegsMate, though, and that's a huge bit of damage that's gone from Elevate now.
Big teleport in from DoctorL. They're looping around the side. KhaoticPurpose, and this is actually one of the strengths as well. I mean, Aware have such strong chase. They've got a lot of bonus movement speed in both the Raw and the Souls kit. KhaoticPurpose with that semi-global. DoctorL utilizing his TP to get himself in a better spot to cut off Elevate's retreat. And it was just kind of a pick off one at a time. It wasn't Elevate taking a fight at all. It was just kind of like, all right, he's dead, let's get out. But then someone else got caught. Okay, he's dead, let's get out. And now this lead that Elevate had gathered, or kind of closing the gap to make an even game, is all gone now.
Yep, Aware Gaming going through the jungle like a fine-tooth comb, waiting for this fire giant to come up as well. Elevate know this, gonna try and take whatever they can from their own buffs. Fire giant gonna get started, and already they're melting through it relatively quickly.
Agni was on the left-hand side getting his red buff, so he's not gonna be here. Everything is up to Rippin holes on this Athena, and he's gonna dash out. Teleport coming in from Chaac. Did the last hit go through?
Aware Gaming's gonna be able to find their own fire giant. Reminisct gonna back off, completely turn around. Nobody on that team wants to fight into Aware.
And this is surprising because, I mean, the last time that fire giant happened, Elevate were down about 5,000 gold, ended up holding it and then getting the fire giant themselves. This time, not in a position, probably a little bit too worried again. KeegsMate had taken a spill, same with the Chaac right before there, so they weren't able to get in a good position to contest it. It was only the Athena, and Rippin holes couldn't go for it.
But a surprising ebb and flow in the game. Aware Gaming had a very strong lead, kind of faltered when it came to that mid-late game. Elevate took advantage and capitalized on every little mistake that Aware made, but now Aware flipping it around, bringing it back on the head.
31 minutes in. It's been a back and forth monster of a game. Only one tower remaining for both sides, which is surprising enough. But again, Aware have had the momentum all game, despite this being even when it comes to gold. Most people are now full build. We see the Rod of Tahuti on the Agni, looking to finish off a Soul Reaver. Soul Reaver is completed for the Kuang as well, but it's really just been Aware having kind of those better team fights and decision-making throughout. But they do need to be careful now, because we saw how devastating the Athena Agni combo was. I know I've said it a couple times earlier on. Well, now it's going to be even worse with Rod of Tahuti online.
Aware Gaming grouped up on the left side of the map, want to go ahead and start sieging a Phoenix instead of taking out the right remaining tier 2 tower.
And, both would have worked, obviously. I feel like they just want to get this Phoenix down right now. They don't really need the gold. It's not that critical. They're not going to be backing. It would be nice to take that out eventually here.
It's harder to take down a Phoenix than it is to take down a tower. They still have that fire giant buff around their belt, so they want to go ahead and use it before it goes away, because time keeps ticking.
Moving forward here, DoctorL going to find the pin. He's going to be the front line, just trying to bait out as much as possible here. And this Soul is really the only Phoenix killer they have, so they need to be able to get her in there. But they've got to poke out Elevate beforehand. And you can see it's such a timid spot for both teams because we're so deep into these builds.
We're deep into the builds, and also this game has been so back and forth. If Aware Gaming make a mistake, Elevate are going to be able to capitalize on it and then take a Phoenix of their own instead.
I mean, we're in a spot in the game here where if Elevate or if Aware dive and they get wiped, the game could be over.
Nice two-man knock up into the Intoxicate in the backline, already taking one away. Rippin holes and not going to be able to find that taunt. Instead, Aware Gaming backing off in the backline because McWafflez so hard to take down.
And, I mean, this is the strength of Elevate's comp. They have a really good poke. You saw the Agni bombs come through. Keegs ult as well. Doesn't connect onto anyone, but forces in the back. But here it is. Aware just going to be healing up. They've got Fire Giant. They've got the Raw. And surprisingly enough, Elevate didn't go back to the fountain, so a couple of their members have taken some damage already.
Nice pin, keeping KeegsMate in the back and right into the Raw snipe, but it's not enough to take anybody out. Instead, we're going to have Cameron disapparate back just to get back to safety. McWafflez looking very low. That's a huge tank gone. Cameron getting credit for the kill. Agnibomb's going to find 2 on the stun for DoctorL, but it's not enough to stop them from taking the Phoenix.
And now we're just going to reset. It's just a poke war. Neither team wants to be the one to initiate because they know if the fight doesn't go their way, they're going to lose off of it. So instead, it's the Agni versus the Soul, right? It's this Raw versus the Chaac. It's just poke, 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 poke. Okay, I feel like this is an opportunity where we can initiate.
But they didn't get punished for any of that.
And
Elevate were the ones that got punished. They lost McWafflez and they lost to Phoenix. McWafflez is still going to be gone for almost 30 seconds. Rippin only going to find 1 with the taunt, but a good knock up onto Rippin himself. Aware Gaming are just on point to take the second Phoenix already.
And the Raw Snipe as well, connected with the Kuang, who's dove into the fountain. KeegsMate misses the impale. KhaoticPurpose going to get away. Barely avoids the center of that pin, so he's not going to get rooted and crippled, but 2 Phoenixes down. Still a dead member for 53 seconds. Waffle's about to respawn. And Aware have not taken that tier 2 on right yet. I'm not exactly sure what they were doing on the left-hand side.
It's all right, KhaoticPurpose. 3rd time's the charm. He finally made it out away from that impale. We're going to see Aware Gaming rotate over to the right side, finally take down that last tower, get a little bit of gold in their coffers, and a lot of HP gone from the Titan.
And Fire Giant has fallen off, so they're going to play it safe here. Steal away the speed buff, strip the jungle right now, and go for this gold for Fire Giant once it respawns. They could back and buy power pots, and I think that's exactly what they're going to do. Fire Giant not spawning for another couple seconds.
I like the fact that they did focus on the left side. I would have liked to see that tower fall earlier, but because you took down that left Phoenix, your hands are going to be tied. Elevate are going to have to head to that left side to make sure everything's clear. Meanwhile, the right side of the map is completely open for Aware Gaming to take this Fire Giant.
And that's exactly what you want to do. You know, you pressure the opposite sides of the FG, those fire minions, you got to deal with them at the time. And so they're going to have someone over there. Ideally, it's Waffles. He has the teleport, but you're still not going to be in the fight at the opportune time because you do have to wait for that TP to go through. You see the same kind of thing with the Apollo split pushes where you want him to split push, but sometimes he's just got to ult early, right? He may not be in the opportune position. And that's going to be up to Aware, you know, whether they want to keep fighting when the Chaac comes in or just try and bait it and let those fire minions pour through.
It might be a bait now just because they keep looking at Waffles, but Rippin is here. They were poised to try and take out Waffles early on, but now Aware Gaming going to go ahead and just start taking this Fire Giant. Falling not very quickly, but Waffles going to try to get taunted back with the help of Rippin.
And now it's going to be a switch up. Rippin looking to defend this Fire Giant, just trying to distract for now. And Aware have dropped it, but look at these fire minions just pouring into the base right now. Someone on Elevate needs to stop them. They cannot let this happen. You can see Jumpahhh forced back. Now's the time. Aware see that Jumpahh's in base. They need to be making a move, and here it is, starting up that FG.
They don't have those Agni bombs to try and secure this Fire Giant for the enemy team, so instead, they're going to go ahead and start keeping McWafflez at bay as well. A nice knockup, but here comes the ultimate, which is another reason to keep going with the Fire Giant, but they leash it.
Kuang trying to get in, but can't find his target. Rippin still pushing forward. The sprint pop from Aware as well. And KhaoticPurpose is in the sky, trying to land aggressively, finds Waffles, but again, Keegs with that impale straight away.
KhaoticPurpose dashes away to avoid that. That would have been the 4th time that would have happened. Cameron's still going to take out McWafflez. There's the Wrath. It's gone. They have nothing else to worry about.
Oh no, they do have a lot to worry about. Boronic has taken out Reminisst somehow. And now Elevate have to back up. They've got these fire waves all in their base. They've lost a member. They've lost 2 members, excuse me, and they're not going to be able to defend this FG. They've got to give it up.
No, say Aware Gaming had nothing to worry about. They took out the enemy. They took out the enemy Wrath, and now they're going to take out this Fire Giant because
Titan.
There's nothing that Elevate can do except defend this Titan. They didn't do anything about those fire minions. They were so worried about this fight over at Fire Giant. The Titan's already down below half health.
This is going to be brutal. That Phoenix on the left-hand side is not going to be defeated by the fire minions. They do manage to save it.
It was close,
but that middle hasn't been completed. And remember, the Titan doesn't start regenning health unless all 3 of your Phoenixes are up. And you can already see Aware looking to pile in. That Titan is under 30%. And this could just be game. I mean, I don't know if Elevate can stop this. They're just going to pile in, jump straight on.
It's just a DPS race. The Agni Bomb's coming through, the Raw Snipe coming through as well. It's not going to be enough to stop the onslaught, and the Titan is going to fall.
A game really, I mean, that game was just a poke war.
Yeah.
It seemed that, you know, once again, unfortunately, Elevate don't make any plays, right? And it wasn't like they were setting up for counter initiations for what Aware was doing. They were just letting Aware would do something, then they would start rotating, right? They weren't understanding what Aware was trying to do at any point of the game. They were just kind of responding. They had some great individual plays, especially, looking at KeegsMate there. But if you're going to come out of this and qualify for Worlds, you got to play as a team, not as 5 individuals.
And you can't play as reactive as you did in the previous game, but that is only one down. Aware on the track to try and get themselves a spot at the hi-rez expo, looking very strong currently.
They're in a great spot. They've got 4 points after this. Another win here against Elevate will put them on 6 points. It doesn't guarantee them. There could still be a 3-way tie, but looking solid here.
Definitely. Well, we're going to see what the analysts have to say. Going to pop it over to you guys.
Thanks a lot, guys. It's been a lot of fun, and Scuff is certainly helping us bring the fun. Play like a god, scuffgaming.com/s/smite, and then you can pick up some of the fun stuff that we see the players here using it today and helping us out with the LAN. So here we just saw Elevate. They won 1 game. What are you guys having fun with over there?
Got the Scuff right there on his...
There you
Best
go.
controls in the world, man.
Yeah. ALG, sponsored by Scuff as well. Big deal over here in this console scene. But when it comes down to it, Elevate. Well, they just weren't a big enough deal here in the console scene to win game number 1. What the caster said, I think, was pretty true. I think KeegsMate had some pretty standout performances individually, like he generally does, but then he got soloed as well a couple of times, and in general, the team just didn't seem to be on the same page.
Yeah, there was this one time when KeegsMate actually pushed up so far out there that he was actually boxing into a wave against the Soul. So that's not something you really want to do at this stage. You want to play more cohesive as a team, and we saw a lot of cohesion between Aware playing around Boronic's Raw, was doing such a wonderful job getting set up beautifully by every single Bacchus belly flop.
Yeah, Boronic played really well that game. I think Elevate just played really bad into Raw. That game was Elevate at one point, then it went back to Aware, and back to Elevate, and then Raw just got way too big, won the game for them, basically.
And we saw the counter build also for the Agni. He tried to go into the Divine Ruin, trying to get that anti-sustain option, but he just didn't have quite enough damage to really
no
deal
damage.
with it.
There was 4-man taunts and 2 Agni bombs, but then they would be 50% HP, heal back up to full, and there goes your team fight.
Yeah, Boronic on this Raw was absolutely incredible. A really big deal. I definitely want to see it banned or taken away next time around. This was the impact god for sure. I mean, a lot of times you'll see a god like Rod, he'll do well, right? And you'll heal up and he'll be 1, and 4 or something. But this was a standout performance by Boronic, and not the first time I think that a lot of fans have really seen him go off on the Raw.
It's interesting.